Water and water everywhere, but not a single drop to drink. Well, this analogy will be of no use if you have a man who quenches thirst of hundreds of people every day. That man is none other than Delhi's very own Matkaman.
When I was a child and growing up in a very in an area which was surrounded by villages and things, my father would always tell me that all religions are equal, and it's very important, because right now that's where my beliefs are also. And he would always be so helpful with the local village people whenever they came for help. Not that he was very well to do or anything, but he was probably more capable of helping them in getting them jobs in the factory where he used to work and all that. So villagers always used to come to him for advice and help. And my mother was a nurse, and she was also always very giving. She always used to find a way to help the poor people. The one example which stands out is, my maid was due to have a child, and my mother couldn't, or I'm sure the reason the child was born in the house, or my mother helped the child, helped the maid, was because the maid could not go to a hospital or anywhere. So all these things, as you grow up, these experiences in your childhood, you never forget. They stand up sometime in your life and question you. And so that's where all my uh, inspiration comes from. All the things that happened in my childhood. I think throughout growing up in my growing years, I think I also was helpful, constantly helpful with people wherever I can support. My mother-in-law, who's 86 now, has almost for 10-15 years, she has been my biggest support. She's always supported me, and years ago she asked me, where do you get the spirit of helping people? And I remember telling her that, perhaps from my father, because he always helped people. I returned I returned from London, where I spent 32 years, and after being diagnosed with cancer of the colon, um, and it was very successful, the operation. So in after 32 years, I decided, anyway, let's go back, which was my intention anyway when I first left for London. Having come back to India, then I worked with a few NGOs, and I moved from one NGO to another NGO because I couldn't agree with their philosophies. And eventually I went to work with a terminal cancer center called Shanti Avedna Southern, where I spent almost 2 or 3 years with, and which was a great experience for me. And it was there I saw so much of death, and I decided to buy my own ambulance and cremate the poor, because the poor can't even cremate their own on many occasions. So the van, which is now being used as a water van, or as a matka van, it was born as a cremation van. And from there, I think I installed a cooler in my house, uh, a drinking water cooler outside for people, because I realized, I don't know, I saw sweepers and all these people, none of them could have any water to drink. And it is there, after the coolers, I decided that maybe I should offer water facility to the public in more different places. But I couldn't do a cooler everywhere, because it needs electricity and it needs water supply. So cooler was the best option. So the first matkas I started was just near my house, outside on the main road, and it was so successful. Then I said, let's multiply it, and I multiplied it, started multiplying it, and simultaneously I realized that I needed also water. So I was going around asking people for water. And one of the first people who gave me water was a school called Step by Step, and who still give me water from 5 o'clock in the morning. So gradually my water problem was solved for the van, because you can't just multiply matkas without having a good supply of water. So I wake up every morning at 5, and I'm ready to go to fill up the matkas. So when I get to the van, which is the most important um, tool of my whole charity, uh, uh, is the van which carries 700 liters of water. It has a generator, it has a pump, it has all the parts for the cycles, cycle pumps. So we set off, and because each of my stands has besides matkas has a bench and two cycle pumps, and sometimes often cycle pumps they need repair, and so I have all the tools and all the parts for the pump, and then we fill up the water in the matkas as much as we can, and by the time we get back, it's about 7:30, 8, and before I get back, I fill up the water in the matkas, in the van again. I go to the school and I fill up the water, and when I get back, uh, uh, about an hour later, my assistant comes, and then he takes over and does the rest of the matkas. Now that could take, so often it takes 2 rounds, so he has to come back and fill up and go back. One of the things I've also added, which has been very successful, is cycle belts. So a lot of these poor people on cycles cannot afford a cycle belt, or they don't replace their cycle belts. And my understanding is the maximum amount of accidents in this country is shared between cyclists and pedestrians. And my belief also is, by putting a cycle belt, it to some extent it gives them a little bit more safety on the road. It's like anything else. If you don't have a horn in your car, or if you don't, every moving vehicle on a public road or on a highway does need some sort of an alarm. Also, I serve cucumber, most tarboos, and lassi. Um, I have my own lassi making machine, which we just acquired, which makes 50 liters of lassi in about 20-25 minutes. And I also serve tarboos depending on the season, and when the price is low, and cut cucumber, all of them cooled. They cooled overnight, so when it's served very cool. I often have my matkas either vandalized. Of late, they're being even stolen. But this is a part of what you're doing. You'll get elements in the society who will do this. The nature of what I do is also very trusting, and you always get people who try to misuse you, and um, want something free for all the time, looking for something free. But everybody does that. The affluent, the rich do it, so the poor also do it. Perhaps poor do it more than the rich, or whatever. It's always difficult to know whether this person really needs something or not. Um, so you take a judgment call, and Like anything in life, we're all judgmental about people. So in this case, but if he's hoodwinked you, then he's got away with it. Otherwise, in most cases, I hope that my trust is well placed. The most important thing in 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 in, in helping people and getting on and doing it for extended period of time is um, we're all victims of ego, and we have to keep a check on that. If we don't, because right now I have a lot of people coming even to the house and saying, all kinds of things. You're a great man, you're this, you're that, and sometimes now people come and start touching my feet, which is very embarrassing. And all this suddenly, one can, be on a huge ego trip, which is what traps all of us in every whatever we're doing. Forget even charity, whether you're in business or whether you're a great doctor. You suddenly think your self-importance becomes very prominent in your life. Um, I think my belief is that it is essential that we all contribute to the community. We have to work together as a community. If we don't work together as a community, we get very disoriented. I mean, you can see the way societies function now. Society is very angry because everyone is taking for themselves and just keeping it, and nobody wants to share it. And we don't even want to share our water. I mean, you have a sweeper outside your house. Where is he going to get his water from? Forget the fact that he doesn't even have any toilet facilities or anything. But and it doesn't take a lot for the community just to provide some kind of a water facility for him outside, like a matka, or even extend their tap to the wall, external wall. It doesn't, and we have become very insensitive. We have become very more and more very selfish. We have to share. We have to share our goods with the community. When I say community, I include even nature. I include animals. Like you have a lot of dogs, stray dogs, and all that. People don't even care. It's legislation now that a tree cannot be concreted completely. But I have at least 3 trees in where I live, where they're all concreted. I've been requesting them to unconcrete it. I personally look after all the trees on my street by manuring them once a year. These are all just very small things which we can provide to the community, and uh, it becomes less violent. There is crime on the increase because everybody is angry. The community, especially the working class, your domestics, your watchmen, your drivers, they're all angry. You talk to them, they speak in such bad language at the back of their employers. It's not healthy. Something has to happen for us to take the route which I'm suggesting. Let's go.